welcome here to the Optus Aquatic Centre, where the diving continues here at the 21st Commonwealth Games. Yes, the men's 10-metre synchro platform final will be underway very shortly, so this is the fourth of our finals, and we are really looking forward to the action, and we're going to see Tom Daley in action for the first time here at the Commonwealth Games on the Gold Coast, so looking forward to that. Let's meet those athletes as they are coming out. Only the 6 pairings to contest this final. But the Australians with Bedgood and Stacy, Hattie and Weens, we'll meet them all shortly when we have a good look at that start list. But significantly, you see on the left of screen there, Tom Daley. Tom Daley, one of the biggest names, if not the biggest names in world diving. So we're looking forward to seeing that. Righto, let's check out what is in store here at the Optus Aquatic Centre. And the stands are packed, as is normally the case. Just not enough seats to hold the amount of interest in terms of Commonwealth Games aquatic events, in particular the swimming initially, but now with this smaller stand for the diving, of course a smaller pool, so you can't fit as many spectators in, but boy, haven't they been treated so far with the finals that we've had, and they're really looking forward to seeing this superstar in action, Tom Daley, in a few moments from now. So 6 pairs, as I mentioned, and well, Daley and Goodfellow will be the favourites, I would suggest, for the gold medal, but it's going to take a while to sort them out. Now, let's introduce Mac Mitchum and Dean Puller. Matt, this is the scene of one of your many Commonwealth Games triumphs.
Yes, I do believe this event was last won by possibly the most handsome man that diving has ever seen.
That's Dom Bedgood?
No, it's me, silly.
Oh. No.
Also the most handsome, the most humble.
Yes, we have the defending champion here. Let's have a look at the weather. 27 degrees, 28 degrees in the water. Would be a good place to be on a day like this. The wind speed 19 kilometres an hour, and it's a northerly. So just about, it's going to be interesting. That wind will be right at the backs of the divers there off the platform. As we meet the officials who are overseeing the competition here. There are the names. They've travelled from far and wide to be a very important part of the Commonwealth Games. Dean Puller, great to see Tom Daley in action. We've waited a while.
Oh, it's fantastic to see Tom. He brings such excitement to the pool. He is a world-renowned diver. I think he's got 1.9 million followers on Instagram. And he's a high-profile athlete, which is great for the sport of diving. And he's just a magnificent diver. He's got Olympic medals, Commonwealth Games medals. And he's going to bring a touch of pizzazz to this competition. Yeah,
the world 10-metre champion, individual, of course, and a silver medalist with James Denny in Glasgow, behind Dom Bedgood, and the man sitting right beside you, Matt Mitchum. The start list for the men's 10-metre synchro final. Bedgood and Stacy will be the lead-off divers for Australia. Hattie and Weens, Hinkley and Thompson, a young pairing there from Scotland. So too the Malaysians there, Javelin and Sura. Daley and Goodfellow diving second last, and then it's their teammates there, the youngsters Dixon and Williams. So it's going to be fascinating to see it all unfold. The biggest name, of course, Tom Daley. What's he like to compete against, Mark?
I mean, Tom Daley is just so terrifying when he's on. You know, in the preliminary of Rio, he looked like he was heading for an Olympic record.
Things didn't go to plan.
Then he had a morning session in the semi-final, and everything just went wrong, which is actually very unusual for Tom. He is normally very, very consistent, very powerful. He's a very powerful diver.
And a few injury concerns. It means he's not competing in the individual event, and just this one. So it's all eggs in one basket here.
This is absolutely a concern for Tom. It was questionable whether or not he was even going to compete in the synchro, because he has been struggling with a hip injury. So that has hampered his preparation a little bit. We'll see if he can overcome that limited preparation.
Righto, there at the top and on the platform there now. Dom Bedgegood and Declan Stacy. Dom, a 23-year-old from Southport, right here. This is his home port. Declan from New South Wales. They start with an inward dive, 2.0.
Declan Stacy has only been diving for 2 years. He's one of the most incredible stories of this team. He was a gymnast.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
And a brilliant first dive to open the competition. Both divers are so neat. They both have gymnastics backgrounds, so they know how to control their bodies. They held their pike the same, opened out the same time, and they were lined up perfectly, with both of their entries being completely splashless. They're going to get great scores for their opening dive.
Well, what did the judges think? Oh, they were impressed, weren't they? An 8.5, and there are 9s there. Terrific scoring for the Australians to open proceedings. Bryden Hattie and Rylan Weems, 16-year-olds. These Canadians, one from Calgary and the other from the scene of the '94 Commonwealth Games, Victoria Island.
Ready? Yep. 1, 2, 3.
And what a tough dive to follow. That Australian opening dive was sensational. You just see one of the divers here furthest from the camera moving back. So you can see that not the same distance from the platform, which the judges will notice, hitting the water at the same time. Just a bit cautious on their takeoffs.
So score there 46.2 for Hattie and Weems of Canada. Our second pair in this 10-metre synchro platform final. Now Heatley and Thompson representing Scotland. Thompson, 16-year-old, we saw him in the 1 metre. He finished 12th. Heatley, the bronze medalist in that event. Same dive here.
Ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, go.
It's good. Lucas's entry was completely splashless. They have fallen at slightly different times because Lucas is much taller than James, but still a pretty good dive for the both of them. Look how splashless Lucas's entry was.
So there we have an 8.5 for execution, 8.5 synchronisation. 50.4 for the Scots. Now we have the Malaysians here. 17-year-old, this is Jelson Jabalin, and Hannes Jurasuria, 16-year-old. Their first dive, a back dive. Pike position.
Yeah. Up. See? Oh.
Extraordinary dive from the Malaysian pairing. Remember, the first 2 dives of each pairing are at 2.0. With them both falling at the same time, you can see the difference in the way they brought their arms through. One bringing it in front of their face, the other around the side. Small differences if you're trying to make everything exactly the same.
So a score there, 49.8 for the youngsters from Malaysia. Excitement building now. Tom Daley and Daniel Goodfellow, bronze medalists from Rio, 4th at the World Championships. They start with an inward 1.5 somersault.
Ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, go.
And that takeoff was perfect. It looked like Dan might have travelled away from the platform a little bit, the one furthest from camera, which you can only tell just in the last part of the dive. I think Dan might have been slightly under-rotated as well, but they rotated around at the same time. They both had fantastic entries. It's good.
How good. Tom doesn't seem all that thrilled. Slight delay with the scores coming up. Maybe that's the concern on Tom Daley's face. The scores are through now though, to 51. So an 8 and 8.5 execution, 2 8.5s and a 9 synchronisation for Daley and Goodfellow. And now their young teammates here, the 17-year-olds Matthew Dixon and Noah Williams. 4 1.5 somersault pike.
Ready? Yep. 1, 2, 3, go.
Oh, an exciting pair. Exciting youth here from England. See, going forward, exactly the right time.
That was beautiful. I think they might get more than Tom and Dan.
That was just a lovely start for their campaign here at the Commonwealth Games. No nerves there.
Yeah, great start for these youngsters, the 17-year-olds, 50.4. So yes, indeed, they are scoring higher than their more illustrious counterparts. As we have a look at the standings after the first round, the first of 6 rounds, and Bedgegood and Stacy leading it by a couple. Daley and Goodfellow at 51, Dixon Williams at 50.4, same as Heatley and Thompson. So here are our leaders. Dive number 2 coming up, a back dive.
Pretty solid start from all of the divers in that round. There's only 7 points separating first and 6th. You don't see many divers getting too far away. 2.0 degree of difficulty dives.
Matt, you mentioned the incredible story about Declan Stacy, so new to the sport. His first international FINA Grand Prix was here back in late 2016.
When he'd just been diving for a year, and yet he already had a very impressive list of dives. And some of those dives we're going to see today, synchronised with Dom.
Second round dive here for Bedgegood and Stacy, competition leaders.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
Super finish, the Australian pairing. That's such a great opportunity for young gymnasts. If they're injured or looking for another option, diving is the way to go. See here, falling at the same time. Good rip entries.
Score there 48.6. Well, yes, a lot of ex-gymnasts. Dom, in fact, had a serious back injury at 16 gymnastics. That's why he switched to diving. Canadians here, Hattie and Weens. Reverse dive.
Ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
One's gone slightly further out than the other, and it looks like they might even have hit the water at slightly different times. But they touched their toes at exactly the same time, they came out at the same time, so really just that distance is the only thing that the synchronised judges are going to be able to fault.
Unusual, they counted to 3 twice. I've never heard that done before.
Yeah, you will see some different techniques in how they actually manage to get off at the same time.
46.8 for the 16-year-old Canadians. Back to Heatley and Thompson from Scotland. 50.4 for their first round. Back dive, the same as Bedgegood and Stacy.
Ready? Yep. 1, 2, 3, go.
And Scotland on the money here in the final. 2 Good dives here from the Scottish pair. Looking back, see diver on the right of screen, going over a little bit with his toes, but good timing.
So for Heatley and Thompson, score of 48 there. Oh, 6.5 in execution. 5 of 8. So now we have young Malaysians. In fact, we've got 2 pairs of 16-year-olds, 2 pairs of 17-year-olds, and these guys are 16 and 17 respectively, 5th after the first round. First dive.
Look at that entry from the both of them. They've both absolutely disappeared those entries, so they're going to get brilliant execution marks. Their angles were slightly different as they came out from their pipe, so synchronized judges are going to find something small wrong with it, but execution judges, they're going to have a hard time.
Unbelievable entries.
53.4 for the youngsters from Malaysia. Great diving here so far. And now we have Daley and Goodfellow back on the platform. A back 1.5 somersault, half twist.
Ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, go.
And a little bit out of time there from this very experienced pair. Coach knows it. See, just closest to the camera, jumping and keeping it close. Tom further away was a lot quicker off the board. And a bit of a difference from the platform.
Looks like Tom might have been a bit weaker out of his jump, which might be his hip problem playing up.
46.8. Tom Daley emerged on the scene at the Beijing Olympics. He's still only 23. It's hard to imagine such a tender age. He was such a big star so soon. Now Dixon and Williams.
Yep. 1,
first
2,
dive.
3, go.
Great dive. Individually great dives, great entries. They did touch at slightly different times, and there is quite a bit of air between them. The synchronized judges are actually lined up on each side of the pool. And ideally, they'd like to only see one diver in profile. And the more light there is between them, the more points they take off.
46.2 for Dixon and Williams, the second of the English pairs. After 2 rounds, new leaders here, Javelin and Surab of Malaysia. Bit of Bedgegood and Stacy. Between them though, Heatley and Thompson holding down third. Daley Goodfellow on 97.8. That's 5 points off the lead at this stage. I think it's fair to say we've seen nothing of Tom Daley's best in the 2 dives so far.
No, and I mean, what you see in competition is always a product of the athlete's preparation. So you can have excellent divers not performing very well, but have very poor preparation.
Looks like the preparation of these guys has been very good. Bedgegood. We are here at Southport. This is where he was born. Stacy, his teammate, they're second at the moment. This is a back 2.5 somersault, 1.5 twist, 3.2.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
Beautifully synchronized. In fact, maybe a little bit too synchronized, because they've both just sailed this dive over. I mean, this dive is so easy for these two boys. They're going to do this dive with an extra twist at the end of their program. So this is really just a simple dive for them that they've both just over-rotated, unfortunately.
So these are the bigger dives that are starting to come out now. 67.2. Declan Stacy. Now, Paddy and Williams. This is a 3.0 forward, 3.5 somersault.
1, 2, 3.
And remembering, this is a straight final. There's no preliminary. This is it. They have to go for their dives. And these boys, just one moving out and just ending up short, closest to the camera. Drive off the board, but falling at different speeds. The judges will pick that up.
So the scores here, a low of 6 for execution, high of 7.5, synchronisation 62.1. Scots, Heatley and Thompson, third after 2 dives. This is a 2.8, reverse 2.5 somersault.
Ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, go.
Oh, it's a simpler dive, but sometimes those simple dives are very effective. They have both smashed that dive so high. They both kick out of the water, and they've got so much time to just float it all the way to the water. It's so impressive for the judges to see that much time in the air in that straight position after they've done the bulk of the dive.
So 70.56. Scott's currently second. Yeah. Good reaction. Jocelyn Javelin, Hannes Surya. Now, competition leaders here. Inward dive, 2.5 somersault.
Yeah.
2.8.
Up. Ready? Go.
They're diving extremely well here in the final. Impressing me with their skill off the board and their entries. You see furthest from the camera, another disappearing act. Unfortunately, his other partner couldn't do the same, but they're on today and they're applying some pressure.
It carried 2.8 degree of difficulty, so some big scores there. It's total 67.2. Now, what can Daley and Goodfellow do here? 3.4. Reverse 3.5 somersault tuck.
Interestingly, these boys have the same total degree of difficulty as the Australians.
1, 2,
All of
3,
their hard
go.
dives. That's a good dive from both of the British boys. Not amazing, not bad, just good. Sometimes that's all you need to do. But these boys do have the same overall DD with all of their big dives as the Australians, but in different combinations. So they're doing different dives, but they do add up to the same. So it'll be interesting to see who actually does come out on top.
This was a 3.4. They'll finish with 3.6 and 3.7. The next to 3.2. It's a 77.52. So they jump up over the top of Declan Stacy at the moment. The pressure's building here. Now Dixon and Williams. Inward, 3.5 somersault.
Yep. 1, 2, 3, go.
Beautiful dive. Absolutely rock solid, that one. But look at this speed here from these divers coming out, giving themselves plenty of time, and Houdini act on the bottom.
7, 7.5, 8.5, 8.5. Synchronisation squares, 8.5, 8.5, 8.5, 8.
Yes, well, they're the youngsters. They're the next breed there of English divers. Dixon and Williams, the 17-year-olds, 80.64. 80.64. after 3 rounds. We're halfway through the final. Dixon and Williams take over from Daley and Goodfellow. So Daley and Goodfellow didn't lead for long. Javelin and Jasuria, then Bedgood Stacy. 168.96 there for Heatley Thompson. Not a big gap between the first 5.
Not at all. Still anybody's.
Broadwater in the background here at Southport on the Gold Coast. What a scene for 21st Commonwealth Games. Bedgood and Stacy now. We start the second half of the competition. Bedgood a gold medalist with our own Matt Mitchell in Glasgow. Now with the newcomer Declan Stacy, who didn't even think about diving 4 years ago. Look what he's doing. This is a 3.4, reverse 3.5 somersault tuck.
Well, they really need to stamp their authority. Opening dive of the round, set the tempo for the round.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
Again, we've seen great synchronized diving. Spinning exactly the same time, kicking out. That's what we want to see from the side. It's just the entries from both of the divers heavy on the water. If they could get those together and slip through that water, that's where they get the big points. Just a bit heavy on the bottom.
So, the score there, 71.4, 71.4. This 3.4 degree of difficulty dive, 240.6. There's a tap on the back. We've still got our big dives to come, a 3.7 and a 3.6. Now Hattie and Weens. 3.5 somersault, 3.2. Currently back in 6th placing, 16-year-old Canadians.
Ready? Yep. 1, 2, 3.
I think they both felt like they might have been a little bit close to the platform because they both had flat feet, as if they thought, oh, I think my feet are a bit close to the platform. But they've both finished off that dive beautifully, absolutely snotting that entry, the both of them. It's very impressive to the synchronized judges. It's just the execution judges will go, flat feet, points off.
77.76. 8.5 in there. Low of 7.5 for synchronisation. Back to Heatley and Thompson with their 4th dive here. Inward 3.5 somersault tuck. Same as the previous.
Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, go.
Wow.
That was a breathtaking dive. The 2 Scottish divers. Nice tuck position. Good kick out. A little bit off timing in the end, but both very polished performances. And the way this competition is going, I don't think there'll be too many points deducted from the judges. Should be a very high scoring dive.
An 8 in there for synchronisation. A total 71.04. So currently 2nd, Heatley and Thompson, midway through this 4th round. Now, currently 3rd, Javelin and Jasuria.
It's not a super high degree of difficulty dive, and they also haven't really done it to the level that will get them scores that they need to stay on par with the other medalists. But they do have some harder dives coming up, so they're going to be hoping to make up some of the points that they just lost.
So 66.6, they finished with a couple of 3.2s. 16 and 17-year-olds from Malaysia. Daley and Goodfellow. Well, momentarily they were on top of the standings. They were pushed down to second by their English teammates Dixon and Williams. This is a 3.2 inward 3.5 somersault tuck.
Ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, go.
Sensational. What a dive. What a time to bring that one out in this final. Been waiting for it. Here they are, good kick out. Strong entries from both of them, rip entries. That will propel them up into the lead. I'm sure that was a great dive for them.
Let's have a look at the scores then. Tom Daley, Daniel Goodfellow. And there's 8s and 8.5s. So 78, 72. They are getting better by the dive here. What about the youngsters? Dixon and Williams leading at the halfway point. This 3.3, back 3.5 somersault tuck.
Yep. 1, 2, 3, go.
Incredible dive from these boys. It's not as high a degree of difficulty dive as what the Australians and the other British team are going to do. They're both going to do this dive in pike, but sometimes these dives are just so impressive when both the divers absolutely drill the entry. It does lose some of its potency when only one of them rips the entry and the other one doesn't, so they've both absolutely drilled it.
And they are back on top as well. 82.17. They're impressive, these 17-year-olds. Matthew Dixon and Noah Williams. After 4 rounds, Dixon and Williams with a 5-point break over Daley and Goodfellow. Bedggood and Stacy, well, they're 19 points off the lead now. And Higley and Thompson at 240. So 2 rounds remaining.
It's a big dive for the Australians coming up, a 3.7, which is big bickies. And I've seen them both absolutely rip this one. So if they can both do it, that's going to catapult them right to the lead.
Yes, this is their highest degree of difficulty dive. 3.6 to come after that. But if they can nail this dive, that can change the standings very quickly. Forward 4.5 somersault tuck.
If they rip this, they will well and truly make up that 15 points that they're behind first place.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
They've both done okay dives. Dom was a little bit short. Declan looks like he didn't open up fully, so he's hit the water just a little bit piked. They did land at slightly different times, but look at that spin. They were spinning at exactly the same time, doing their rotations at exactly the same time. Is it enough? We'll see how the English boys answer this dive.
They've given themselves some sort of chance here. Slight delay with the scores being posted, but they come up now. Well, they'd be disappointed with that. There's a 4.5 for execution and 6.5 their synchronisation, 66.6. So that was an opportunity wasted for Bedggood and Stacy. Now Hattie and Weems, 6th place. The youngest pair here at 3.3.
Ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
The young Canadians, they're not far out of the medal either. And we know it can happen in synchronised events. We saw it 2 days ago. Just got to keep putting them on their head. And this is what they've done here. Yes, just furthest from the camera on the left-hand side here. A little bit heavy on the entry. Apart from that, good synchronised diving. Will be some execution deductions for that diver, but still, a good dive.
Big ranging scores for execution. End up with a 64 4:35, Hattie and Williams. Higley Thompson, they're fourth at the moment, still very much in contention for a medal. This is their second last dive. And inward. In fact, a forward, I should say, forward 3.5 somersault pipe.
You've seen them measure their hurdle so that they know that when they turn around, when they do their run, they're both going to land in exactly the right spot.
1, 2, 3, go.
And they have. James has looked a little slower. He looks like his feet might have skipped out in front of him a little bit on the takeoff, which does kill some of your rotation. So he's just dropped it straight down. Gravity has had an extra effect on him, and he's under-rotated a bit, particularly compared to James. Great entry from James.
Okay, they were looking to keep themselves in the running for the medals. Well, they're still there, there's no doubt about that, but a 57.6 doesn't enhance their prospects. Heatley and Thompson. Next up, back to 5th overall now, Javelin and Jayasurichi. The standings have swapped around constantly throughout this competition. This and inward 3.5 somersault tuck at 3.2.
Up. Deep. Go.
That was a tremendous dive. It was nearly there. I thought they were going to disappear on that entry like they did earlier. Beautiful kickouts, but they just couldn't get that slicing through the water. Still a very good dive. Same distance from the platform. Should set them up well going into the final round.
7.5s and 8s there, 72. They jump to the top. Daley and Goodfellow to follow, followed by then Dixon and Williams. Now here's Tom Daley. Won the gold medal in Delhi, silver Glasgow. Won an individual gold medal, of course, back in Rome, 2009.
Ready? Yeah.
Still only
1,
23.
2, 3, go.
That is the entry that we expect to see from Tom Daley. It is perfect. He's dead straight. This dive requires so much ab strength. It's dead straight there. Beautiful knee save. Impeccable entry from Tom Daley. Dan has done a little bit of a splashy.
That could be the dive that pulls them away from the rest of the competition.
That gives them that redemption from that stolen gold in Glasgow in 2014.
You're not sounding guilty though, Matt. 90.72 there. Dixon and Williams now.
Ready? Yep. 1, 2, 3, go.
On the other English pair who are in the lead going into this round. They're not out of it. They're both moving away from the platform here. They're quite a long way, but they both do it together. They're both moving away. Good speed, good timing. And that will keep them right up there. Won't be as high scoring as their compatriots before, but polished dive.
65.7, so compared to the low 90s of Daley and Goodfellow, they've dropped a lot of ground there. 325.11 after 5 rounds. The standings, 1 round remaining. And Daley and Goodfellow, the bronze medalists from the Olympics, have opened up a very handy break over Dixon and Williams, Javelin and Jayasuriya, Bedgood Stacy, 307. They're 37 points behind. And Higley and Thompson at 297. Same score there, pretty much, as Hattie and Williams, a fraction of a second separating those two teams. So it's there for Daley and Goodfellow to lose. They've got a big dive in their last as well at 3.7. And their main rivals, Dixon and Williams, are 3.2.
Interestingly, Declan Stacy has lost a lot of size, a lot of his muscle mass in his upper body from his gymnastic days, because we don't want the divers to be top heavy. We want to have a smaller, slenderer, more streamlined shape, and he's managed to achieve that.
Big scoring dive here for Bedgood and Stacy. First of the final round. They need to nail this to put themselves in medal contention.
1, 2, 3, go.
Absolutely delivered. The Australian pairing here under pressure in the final round had stood up and knocked it out of the park. Beautiful timing, wonderful entries, and we're waiting for more competition, and there it is.
It is a beauty. It is a terrific dive there from Bedgood and Stacy. 90.72. That is just what the doctor ordered. So that has given their rivals something to think about. They saved their best till last.
That's exactly what the Australians did 4 years ago. They nailed that back 2.5 twister, and funnily enough, the Tom Daley and his synchro partner did the same dive, a front 4.5, and that was their undoing.
It's all set up.
Hattie and Weens now,
Ready?
back in 6th.
Yep. 1, 2, 3.
Consistent dive from the Canadians to finish off. Not the highest degree of difficulty dive, and not the best I've seen them perform it either. But it was not terribly performed. It was not excellently performed. It was just good. And sometimes just good is just good enough.
So the 16-year-olds, we're going to see much more of this pair over the years. What a future. 72 for their final dive there. Bryden Hattie and Bridal Weens, fantastic competition. Both 16 years of age. Another 16-year-old Lucas Thompson. He's with the 20-year-old James Heatley, currently 5th. They are going to finish with a back 2.5 somersault, 1.5 twists at 3.2.
Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, go.
Superb individual dives. But this is a synchronised competition, and we're trying to do it at the same time. See, there's James hitting earlier than Lucas.
Getting into his twist much sooner too.
Absolutely.
Into his pike as well.
They've shown a lot of great skills here in this final, and we're going to expect big things from the Scottish team in years to come.
They finish with a 72, 369.6 to finish up. Puts them just ahead of Hattie and Weens. Behind the Australians, Bedgood and Stacy. 3 teams, 3 dives to come to determine the medals here. And they're all in contention. The Malaysians, Javelin Jayasuriya, 3.2. Back, 2.5 somersault, 1.5 twist in the pike position.
They were 3rd after the last round. If they nail this dive, they could get themselves a medal.
They're 86 points behind the Australians.
They've nailed it. They've absolutely nailed it. Individually, their dives were impeccable. And when they've put it together, it is so impressive.
Remembering it's only the 1.5 twist too, isn't it?
It is, it's a lower DD dive, so they won't get 90 points, but it's just so impressive to see 2 divers do 2 classy dives, exactly the same.
So 76.8 there, a total 385.8. They are 2nd, so we know that Bedgood and Stacy are short of a medal here. The 2 English pairs to come. First of all, Daley and Goodfellow. They've got a big dive here, a 3.7 forward, 4.5 somersault.
We've set up the Dramarama.
They're only 53 points behind Australia.
This was their undoing 4 years ago. Tom's was awesome.
Wow.
Tom's was awesome, but we'll see further from the camera. Daniel just comes out shorter and really pikes out. There's a bit of a racing dive on the entry. So obviously his execution scores will be lower. It won't help the synchronised scores as well.
A score of anything over about 55, they're still in the gold medal position. Despite missing this dive, they should be okay to jump over Bedgood and Stacy.
I think it's going to be close.
A 61.05, and they take over the gold medal position, despite the drama with their final dive.
Redemption. Redemption is sweet. Well done for the English boys. And now these English boys to follow up Tom Daley and Goodfellow.
And to score anything over 80 will be enough for these guys to snatch the gold from Daley and Goodfellow.
Which is absolutely achievable with this dive if they both
Ready?
do what they're used to doing.
1, 2, 3, go.
That could be it! This is going to be so, so close. The only thing that might be their undoing is that how far out one of them was. So there is quite a lot of space in between them, but look at those entries.
They hit it exactly the same time, but as Matt said, the distance between them, will that be good enough?
Yeah, they may have just missed out. Daley and Goodfellow think they've done enough to win the gold medal here. And I think that's the way it's going to turn out as we await the scores here for Dixon and Williams. Dixon and Williams, 74.88, they finish with the silver. So Tom Daley and Daniel Goodfellow claim the gold medal here over their teammates, Dixon and Williams, and the bronze will go to Bedgood and Stacy. What a final, what drama in the last round. But it's the superstar, Tom Daley, at 23 years of age, the world individual champion, and he just keeps racking up the titles. The silver medal in Glasgow, the winner in Delhi, and now he's a champion again, this time with Daniel Goodfellow, the bronze medalist from the last Olympics.
Tom, even with his very limited preparation and his hip injury, he's just so consistent. He's one of those divers that has impeccable aerial awareness and just puts it on his head every single time. He's got the most impressive entry in the world.
Good job, buddy.
Well,
You did it.
what a competition. Let's recap the results. Such drama. Daley and Goodfellow, 4:05.81. They just missed the medals at the last World Championships. They took the silver medal at the Rio Olympics, and here they are, the gold medalists here on the Gold Coast at the Commonwealth Games. And what a performance by the 17-year-olds. Matthew Dixon and Noah Williams, the silver, just a smidgen under 400 points, and a couple of points clear of Bedgood and Stacy, claiming the bronze for Australia.
Which when you compare 399 to 397 in dives that score 80 or 90, 2 points is the skin of a bee's wing. It's absolutely nothing between them. It could have been 2 droplets of water that could have been that much difference, or maybe just a slightly unpointed toe.
Well, a sensational competition here. It had everything it promised to have. And it ended up being gold and silver to England, Australia the bronze. We'll see the medals presented very shortly. We're about to see the medal ceremony for the men's synchronised 10-metre platform final.
Ladies and gentlemen, the medal ceremony for the men's 10-metre synchro. The medals will be presented by Deputy Premier of Queensland, the Honourable Jackie Trad, MP. Accompanied by Her Excellency Lady Cosgrove. The winners of the bronze medal, representing Australia, Dominic Benchgood and Declan Stacy.
Well, they gave it a good shape, the Australians, with a brilliant final round dive. Bedgegood having teamed with Matt Mitchum to win the gold medal 4 years ago in Glasgow, when his teammate here, Declan Stacy, was still very much a gymnast, hadn't even thought about the sport of diving. What a story. Don Bedgegood at his home pool. He's from Southport. That's
The
where we
winners
are
of
right
the
now.
silver medal, representing England, Matthew Dixon and Noah Williams.
And what a performance by this pair, the 17-year-olds. Fair to say, English diving, male diving in this context is in very good hands.
We're going to see almost all of these divers tomorrow in the individual 10-metre event, which, according to the standard of today, looks like it's going to be a really good one.
Oh, yeah. Sadly, no Tom Daley in that final.
No, because of his hip injury, he's decided to reduce his volume, and hopefully he'll be right for the World Championships later this year.
The gold medalist and Commonwealth champions, representing England, Thomas Daley and Daniel Goodfellow.
They did what they needed to. They were very, very nervous after fluffing their last dive. But Tom Daley, having been a gold medalist in Delhi 8 years ago, at the age of 16 at that time, after he was a 15-year-old world champion in the individual event in Rome the year before, and a 14-year-old Olympian in Beijing, still only 23 years of age. But he's got a lifetime of achievements, and here he is teaming with Daniel Goodfellow. They were together in Rio. They took the bronze medal there.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Now
the
they're the gold
anthem of
medalists.
England.
third gold medal in the diving here to England, and they go 1-2. Gold and silver in the 10-metre synchro platform. Jack Ward with a pair of gold medals. Now it's Daley and Goodfellow's turn. They had an almighty scare though when they were waiting for their scores after their final dive, and then again, even though they knew what they were then in the gold medal position over the top of the Australians Bedgood and Stacy, they had an almighty scare when they saw Dixon and Williams perform their last.
Absolutely, they all kept fighting right through to the end. The number of points separating even fourth from first is all well within the discrepancy that you can make up with a dive.
Well, the crowd loved that. We all loved that. I hope you at home did as well. He's the biggest name in world diving, Tom Daley, and he came out and did what he needed to do. Just. Fabulous final. They were just all building up to that last round, and that's when all the drama occurred.
Great success for the English team there, 1 and 2. Fantastic for them to have all those red tracksuits up there on the top 2 positions.
The British diving team is so strong. In fact, all of British sports are very, very strong. And some might say that that's because British sports are so well funded, being funded by their Tats Lotto.
Yep, overflown, of course, from the London Olympic Games, the build-up, so much was poured into it. And, of course, they've got a big population as well, and a well-funded sports system, as Matt Mitchell indicated. Let's recap the results then. The men's 10-metre synchro platform going the way of Daley and Goodfellow with that score of 405.81. Just a tick under the 400-point mark, Dixon and Williams, the 17-year-olds, and then Bedgood and Stacy. So with their last dive, Dixon and Williams jumped over the top of Bedgood and Stacy in that race for the silver medal effectively, but fell short of Daley and Goodfellow. Wonderful competition. Let's have a look at some of the highlights.
2, 3.
And the young Canadian pair starting off strong.
This was such a graceful back dive from the Scottish boys. You can see the Malaysians with their long, streamlined bodies. They just slice through the water with no resistance whatsoever.
A beautiful Australian inward dive pike.
And they're both so strong in their reverse 3.5s. They've both got that great launch off the platform, the Australian boys.
Tight tuck, ripping the entries.
You can see that black strip just to the right is where the drop cam, that houses the drop cam that gives us such brilliant close-ups of the divers as they're falling through the air. This is the drop cam shot.
This is the dive that separated the winners from the rest of the pack.
Jane Figueroa.
Yes, it was a beaut finish. A grand finale to the men's synchronised 10-metre platform final. So another final has been decided here at the Optus Aquatic Centre. And we have 2 more to come this evening. Really looking forward to this evening. The women's 1-metre springboard final and also the men's 3-metre synchro springboard final. That will complete the 3rd day, another day remaining. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. We certainly are. We look forward to your company later on today.